Just picked up these brand new inner door handles. They were like $10 online. They were like $18 at Napa, so it was a little more just to pick them up at Napa, but they were right there on the shelf in front of me. I won't have to like wait a week for them to show up, because if that happens, I'm gonna lose motivation and not want to do it. This is the old one, and as you can see, as we pull on it, this whole thing is supposed to turn. Major crack though, so it wasn't pulling on the actual metal piece that pulls on the door latch to open it, and that's pretty much just what happens with these Chevy door handles. That was pretty easy. A couple of the clips broke, as always on Chevy stuff. But I think she's all back together, so I'm gonna close it and see if it opens. Look at that, dude. Does she lock? Yes, sir. That was the easiest door handle I've ever done in my life. Door panel's all back on. I accidentally ripped the speaker wires out and the window button up and down, so it took me an extra minute to get all that back in line. But even then, it still was a pretty quick, easy job. So it's time to test it out now. The door lock was wicked stuck before. I wouldn't go down. Now it does, but I put a bunch of WD-40 on it, so hopefully if I just keep moving it, it will kind of go. It doesn't really want to go. I'm not going to talk about that part still. But close is good, window works, and it does indeed open. So we're good. She's fixed. As I put the new boot on, I want to make sure it doesn't leak past the boot, because the way that it was on there, I couldn't quite tell if there was like a ripple in the boot where it might have some boost squeeze past. I highly doubt it. The way that I've seen a hole in this thing and like it still builds most of the boost, I think we're gonna be fine, but just want to see. Looks like we're good. Alright, you guys, we got our first actual issue with the bourbon. So the past week or so, the battery voltage, it's supposed to stay at about 14. The past week it's been like in the red. So I knew something was up, and I kind of was just ignoring it for a little bit, and I was gonna start looking into it. And then last night I was driving at night, and I had my headlights on obviously, and they were like repeatedly just like dimming, and then I would turn the blinker on, and every time the blinker would come on, the headlights would dim. So clearly it's not getting the proper power when it's running, which doesn't have anything to do with the batteries, so the alternator is bad. And last night I drove for a little bit, and that killed the battery, so testing. We are taking a trip to Napa real quick and throwing an alternator in this bad Larry. Not very expensive, and they're 2 bolts, and they're right on the top of the engine bay, so it's pretty easy to do on it. But first thing we got to deal with on her. So it's right there. I could probably do it with the charge boot in the way, but I'm probably just gonna move it anyways. But it's literally 2 bolts and the belt, and then she pops out. So it's still not charging properly, so I just drove it for like 30 minutes and nothing. So something's still messed up on the truck. It's basically charging at system ready 9. I'm supposed to be at 14. I just cleaned all the terminals, and it went up a little bit. Primarily there, but it's like a little under 14. And it's still about where it should be, I guess. This little wire. Right here. To clarify on that last video, you couldn't really hear because the motor was running, so it was really loud, so I couldn't talk, but that little wire that I was holding, that fell off, and I noticed that was off when I went to change the alternator and I put the new one in. It wasn't connected, and that little wire runs right to the back of the alternator, screws on, and then it goes right into the positive on the battery. I don't even think my alternator was bad. I think that that wire literally just popped off somehow the other day, and I mean, I know that the alternator makes power from the belt. I don't necessarily know what that little red one does to the battery. I don't know if it just like closes the circuit or what. I'm not really too into electrical things, but it would be running at 9, and then I would touch that to the positive and it would go right up to 13. So I don't even know if the alternator was necessarily bad, but I don't regret it just to get it out of the way. I think I'm just gonna throw some new batteries in it, maybe like Optima or something, because those are a pretty good brand and I've never had issues with those really. So it's probably been idling, like, I'd say it's been idling 30 minutes now. I mean, I've been in the driveway for probably 15 minutes right now, and then I took a 5-10 minute drive up the road, and then it idled for probably 10-15 minutes before that. So I think that would have been enough to charge the batteries. We're about to find out. Yeah, buddy.